Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Outcomes Rocket. I'm super excited about this series that we're doing in collaboration with CLAS to recognize the top achievers in healthcare technology. CLAS put together a list of top 20 emergency tech awards that they showcased at Health. We were excited to meet many of the companies and really just wanted to collaborate in sharing the success and value that all of these companies are creating in the healthcare ecosystem. Join me in these series of interviews where we recognize the top 20 emergency tech awards. Hope you enjoy learning about them because you could both learn what to do for your business, but also as a provider and a payer, learn how to scale solutions within your organization. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoy this interview. Hey everybody, Saul Marquez with the Outcomes Rocket. I want to welcome you back to our podcast. Today, I have the privilege of hosting Adeel Malik. He's the CEO and co-founder of Clearstep, an AI care navigation company that has partnered with some of the leading healthcare institutions in the US, such as CVS, HCA, Tufts Medicine, and many others. He was featured in Built in Chicago's 50 Startups to Watch in 2020 and was an inaugural member of the United Health Accelerator. He's also been named as one of Chicago's 20 in their 20s by Crain's in 2020. So with that, I want to welcome him to the podcast. Adeel, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You know, guys, we were having a little catch-up session about kind of like Thanksgiving and how we do our best to be with families. It's hectic, but you know what? It's all worth it in the end. And Adeel's an incredible person and a family man. Adeel, I'm glad you're with us. Help us understand what got you into healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always been a decent influence on my life. My dad is an emergency medicine physician. I, for a long time, was planning on a career in academic medicine. I feel like a lot of people on the admin side of healthcare were once thinking they might become a doctor. Yeah. I was very passionate and motivated by the research side of medicine throughout college and for a little bit thereafter. I think more generally, impact-driven work is really what motivates me. Just using the resources that we're so fortunate to have. I think really anyone growing up in America to make a difference and to try to move the needle positively in industries that really need it and where there's a real consumer, or in this case, patient kind of demand or need. I think that broadly and generally, like so many in healthcare, is what motivates me. But maybe a little bit more specifically too is that I kind of stumbled into becoming an entrepreneur. I had no plans to become an entrepreneur. I wanted to be a researcher, mm-hmm. and maybe an industry side. Industry was like an accident that kind of happened, and going into consulting as kind of initially as a brief interlude of a research career was the plan, but entrepreneurship kind of came out of that. And I was just going to mention that. And sometimes the way I think about Clearstep and the work that we're doing is I've been very fortunate to have an awesome healthcare experience, largely because my dad is a physician, and an emergency medicine physician is very broad, so can kind of take care and work, be our family's primary care provider. So when I need something, I can text my dad and he'll write a script and send it to the pharmacy and this kind of thing. And I think that's our opportunity with Clearstep. How do we make everyone feel like they have that level of a healthcare partner in their life with AI and better connectedness, better access? So anyways, a bit long-winded, but
no, it's good, man. It's good it's good to know that. And you kind of went the research, started with the medical, maybe research, then got into consulting, and then here you are, right, with Clearstep. So tell us about Clearstep. What are you guys doing to add value to the healthcare ecosystem?
Yeah, so Clearstep is like you kind of high level described, care navigation, AI. Really, the way we think about ourselves is we provide technology primarily to health systems, hospital based health systems, IDNs, for them to be able to provide accurate, robust AI assistance, healthcare assistance to their patients, to their healthcare consumers. And there are several different main use cases, but the main one, the core Clearstep kind of AI assistant use case is helping people find and access the right care when they're feeling symptomatic, when they know they just need to go to a cardiologist or whatever it might be. They can start with us, have a quick 2 to 3 minute AI interaction where our system is going to be drilling in to understand what's really going on. What kind of care does the person really need? Is this acute or not? If it's not acute, does it warrant specialty level care, or can it be handled at primary care or virtually or asynchronously? So we're really trying to get down to what care does the person most optimally need for what their clinical presentation is. But then beyond that, what's in network, what's nearby, what can they book, what can they schedule online? If they can do it virtually, can they launch it right now with a primary care virtualist? So that's the core use case. It's from a consumer, and that's I just spoke mostly from the consumer lens, and we can get into kind of the business side problems that we're solving. But I think from the consumer lens, we can all appreciate as healthcare consumers that it can be very difficult to know what to do, where to go, what's in network, what you can book online, what's really the best thing for you to do for your healthcare when you know you need it.
Yeah, for sure. And mainly what we focused on is consumer care navigation, right? We all struggle with it. I was in med device for 16 years, and considering myself an insider, you still, right? You still have to figure things out.
Totally.
So very cool. And so you guys are using AI as part of the platform. Let's dig into some of the business side of things. Like, what are you guys doing on the business side to help some of these providers, maybe the payers, CVS and things like that?
Yeah, sure. So we're a B2B2C company. We, even though consumers are the end users, and Clearstep is always free to the end patient, to the end user, they just access it usually from within the digital experiences, the apps, etc., of our customers. And while we do have some variety, I guess, of customer types with retail and virtual payer, our core focus has been health systems, and that's kind of evolved. We didn't necessarily start that way. We didn't start so single-mindedly focused, although it was always a clear application of the technology. There are good still payer side applications, but we frankly gotten a lot of traction on the health system side. And the reason is to answer your question, nearly all health systems are really struggling with access and trying to figure out how best to enable more access to their healthcare resources. And the basic way I frame it up when I talk to health system leaders is, almost every health system across the country is like full or running at capacity, where there are at minimum weeks, usually, if not months, of lead time to get an appointment, particularly for specialty care. Yet those health systems know that 30-40% of the care that actually is being delivered in person in their medical groups or by their medical groups is inefficient or doesn't need to necessarily be with that provider. Like, a lot of those visits can be happening virtually or not at all, or they're just with the wrong person. I mean, the number of stories I hear about an orthopedic knee surgeon getting a shoulder patient on their calendar, and then it just being a wasted visit and basically saying, no, we got to go to this person and instead. And so there's examples like that that kind of like make you quite like, how could that happen? That's so simple, right? Knee versus shoulder, like pretty obvious. Right. But that kind of stuff happens all the time. And that's the simple stuff. There's more nuanced, complicated stuff that happens in inefficiency. So if you're kind of a health system leader and you have this like basically fixed supply of providers, of healthcare resources, and you know that 30-40% of that fixed supply is not being utilized appropriately or efficiently, and you're backed up for like months, that's a big problem, right? So you have a routing and access problem. You need to our view is deploy technology to better match patients that are coming in to really the right resource within your ecosystem, so that you can, let's say, take all those unnecessary in-person visits, shift them to virtual, which is the trend anyways, and then create more capacity without having to hire more doctors, create more capacity so that your complex patients with multiple comorbidities, et cetera, who really need procedural or diagnostic-based care are prioritized for in-person care. So it's been quite interesting to really go on the journey and learn a lot of this with our early health system partners and continuously with our existing partners. We've about 15 health systems across the country that we're working with. And this is the core problem we're trying to solve. How do we create better access by really making sure the right people are going to the right place? And frankly, it plays both a fee-for-service and value-based narrative. Like from a fee-for-service perspective, those low acuity visits that are coming in that don't really need to be there, you don't get to bill very much for those. And when you get the complex patient that needs more care, you bill 6 to 8 times as much. And that patient needs it. And the payer wants that patient to get prioritized for care to avoid any downstream, greater complications. So it's actually a win-win-win, and it works in a value-based scenario too. But at the end of the day, a health system is positioned to get more revenue, to make more money if they prioritize patients better.
Yeah, and I mean, right now more than ever, with recent announcements like Prime, offering digital care.
Right.
Health systems have to do their best to
Right.
digitize the experience and to offer us all, that service we're looking for. It's disruptive, and I think it's great to have partners like your company, Clearstep, to offer people out of the box solutions, right? Because a health system's not going to build it from scratch.
Exactly. I mean, there's a huge opportunity. I think if you can get your footing, which is hard, particularly with health systems, there are major problems to be solved. And to your point, they're not tech companies. They're not consumer companies. They're traditionally, most IDNs were built by being great hospitals and great hospital systems and networks of hospitals. Even the outpatient ambulatory side as part of an IDN is, not exactly a new concept, but still there are a lot of hospital-based health systems that are early in their journey of even building out medical groups and things like that. So you're right. I think these more legacy providers need really good technology partners to come in and help them solve problems. But, particularly in today's environment, it can be hard to get that initial footing and get in the door and start growing well. But yeah, huge opportunity to work with health systems, I think. And actually one thing I'll quickly say is the advantage that I think health systems have over something like Prime is that Prime is good for if you have Prime and you use One Medical, for the kind of urgent telemedicine use cases. And I know they're pushing harder to go beyond that with virtual primary care. There's a lot of big initiatives with virtual primary care across the country. But the reality is, to truly have good continuity of care that's robust and really scalable, you need all specialty types. You need radiology and imaging and labs, and you need diagnostic centers. And so the health systems, if they can deploy the consumer technology first strategy well, they have a leg up from some of these other providers.
Yeah, much more integrated care. That's more, has more options. So yeah, totally agree with you, man. And I guess really the point is, man, now's the time, right? And you have a solution here. So folks, you've thought about this. You guys are all trying to figure out a way to tackle this problem. I love having interviews with entrepreneurs like Adeel because they've got great options for us to consider as we look to innovate. And as an entrepreneur, Adeel, one of my favorite things to chat about too is challenges. So as you've gone into the business, what has been one of your biggest setbacks, and what was the key learning that came from that?
It's hard to think of one. There's constant setbacks. There's weekly, daily, monthly setbacks, but it's kind of part of the game, part of the nature of the game. But I think the tough recent one is having to build and continue growing a company in an economic downturn. It's hard. It's hard to do that. And I think people say the good thing about that is the companies that survive and thrive in those environments are ones that build truly sustainable companies, because they're solving very, very real problems and delivering very real value propositions. So, if I look back at the company, our main go-to-market, after we had been in the United Healthcare Accelerator and we were building up the technology and kind of figuring out the sales and marketing approach through like 2019. We started the company late 2018. So 2020, early 2020 is when we were like, great, we were going out to raise money. We were trying to push, really, really execute on sales. And then COVID happened. And for a solution like us, COVID was actually great, because we're helping navigate care and helping people figure out when they should go in versus when they shouldn't go in, and when they use virtual versus not, et cetera. So we took off in 2020 and then continued growing at a similar rate in 2021. So had two fantastic years of growth. And then Q1 2022 built up this great pipeline. We thought 22 was going to be similar kind of trajectory and kind of growth. And then Q1 is when basically all the health systems, they're like the supply chain stuff, the COVID funding fell through, and half of all health systems now more in the red, like that. And
overnight.
It was coming. You could see it if you were watching closely. But it came, and 2022 was hard. Keep things moving and really figure out the right position, especially since 2020 and 2021, some of the deals that we had out were very COVID specific. And so we were trying to transition those to more general navigation use cases as well, which we did actually successfully. I think every single COVID deal that we had, we turned into a broader kind of care navigation solution. But that was really hard. And I think 2023 has been frankly similar to the first 2 years. We've actually grown really well this year and added a bunch of new health systems. So to me, it kind of, if you have the wherewithal to kind of get through those, and we're not out of the tricky financial circumstances, right? No. But to us, the fact that we have grown as well as we have this year in the face of those sustained challenges tells me that we're really moving in the right direction. We're pointed in the right direction. The solution is one that even when health system CFOs are making really tough choices, they're prioritizing things that can create better access and capacity and things that can help patient throughput. Frankly, because these hit the top line and the bottom dollar both in significant ways. So I think, to summarize my answer, I think the biggest challenge is growing the company through an economic downturn. But the plus side of that has been refining and really making sure that we are working on and delivering the right product to the market, and that this wasn't just like a COVID fad of this kind of technology. Because now we don't sell COVID. We haven't sold a COVID only deal for 18 months, 2 years, probably, something like that. So
that's great. No, I appreciate that. And I agree, man. It's a testament to you and your team's ability to adapt and shift with the changing needs of the market and the health system. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that. And hey, if you had to point to a technology or a trend that you think is going to change healthcare as we know it, what would you say it is?
Yeah. Maybe two things briefly, but one is just a truly integrated, virtual first but hybrid care delivery ecosystem where you truly do have your virtual quarterback of care that is both AI and human, but you have quick and easy access to all your in-person resources, all integrated into one kind of user experience, but one solution that's delivered, and with the brands that people trust, like the brands they grow up with, near the hospital they're born at, that kind of thing. The second is I think price transparency. there's some really interesting work going on, and frankly that we're also doing with price transparency that I think that could really change the economics of healthcare and give people a lot more choice and clarity into what really their options are. So we're doing interesting work to before someone ever even walks in the door, predict their out of pocket responsibility beyond just their copay, but we can predict the labs, diagnostics, imaging, basically the exact bill codes that are likely going to be needed in the visit, since we're collecting all this clinical information before someone walks in the door. So once you have that information beforehand, you can actually get insight then into what the cost of care will actually be. The reason why price transparency is so hard to do for outpatient care now, at least at the beginning of a care journey, is because you call the front desk and they don't know what the doctor's going to do. They don't know whether the visit's going to be 15 or 20 minutes, 25, because that changes things. And then they don't know if they're going to talk about smoking cessation, which will be another bill code. There's you don't know what's actually going to happen before you go in. So by predicting it, we can bridge that. But I think these two things, like new care delivery models and then price transparency as part of those care delivery models, but as its own thing as well, are two really interesting trends that I think we'll see a lot of movement on in the next, at least with the new care delivery models, in the next 3 years. I'd like to say with price transparency too, but that's a lot more complicated, I think, for a bunch of reasons.
Yeah, no, that's great. And by the way, I want to make sure to recognize you and your company, Adeel. We're doing this mini series with the top 20 emerging tech awards from Class, and Adeel was one of those winners. And so, how does it feel to have won that? And what do you think gave you guys the edge to take the prize?
Yeah, I think it feels great, right? To get such a respected organization like Class, who when I was a consultant, we relied on for industry insights, to kind of recognize us in that way. I think your second question is how did that happen? Basically,
how did it feel like? What do you think was the main reason?
I think the main reason is that we are, like I kind of touched on, I think really building the right thing for the moment for health systems. And I think Class went and interviewed all of our customers, and we got these. It was great for us to see, right, this third party analysis of our customer feedback, and we got glowing reviews. Class has a score. We got 92, and anything over 80 is apparently really, really, really fantastic. So
you guys got a 92.
Yeah, and
nice,
all
man.
Customers, we got A's on every metric, of customer success and support, and so I think our customers are kind of the testament to where we are. If you reach out and talk to them, they'll actually talk to you about how much they love the technology, and I think working with our team. We put a lot of effort into just delivering the best for our partners, and I think they all kind of reflected that. So yeah, I think those are some of the things. And awesome, my team is really the big thing, right? I can't say that enough.
Hey, thanks, Adeel. Appreciate you sharing that, and big congratulations to you. If you wanted to leave our listeners with anything that you'd consider a call to action, what would you leave them with?
For innovators to keep pushing, but to be really, really critical on product market fit as you grow, because without true product market fit, you can't grow in climates like this. And then for industry leaders, I think it's to really be thoughtful but aggressive about pushing a technology and consumer first agenda within your organizations. There's a lot more nuance there, but I think, industry leaders just being aggressive on actually trying to drive forward the future, and being very clear about bringing operational leaders into the mix for their input. I think that's one of the things we see when it's just a chief digital officer, a chief innovation officer, or someone leading the charge. It's just not as powerful versus when you get the president of a medical group, or a COO, or a VP of ops, or someone like that also involved in the discussion. So yeah, that's hopefully useful.
Yeah, it is big time. And lastly, where can people find you and your company if they want to learn more?
Yeah, our website's www.clearstep.health. And feel free to find me on LinkedIn or even just shoot me an email. My email is adeel@clearstep.health. So yeah, appreciate it, Saul. Appreciate you having me on and giving me the opportunity.
Of course. It was great to have you, Adeel. Have a great rest of the day.
Great, you too.